My son threw me out of the house on Christmas. With nowhere to go, I took a job at a billionaire's mansion. My duty was to look after her garden, where her deaf son often spent his time. No one had ever spoken to him before, but when she saw me conversing with him in sign language, she said 5 words that chilled me to the bone. "Where have you been all my life?" But let me go back to the beginning, to the day my life changed forever. Christmas Eve, the day that should be about love and family, was the day my own son tossed me out on the street like trash. My name is Elias Thorne, and I am 60 years old. For 35 years, I owned a chain of plant nurseries and garden centers in Atlanta, Georgia. 5 locations, all built from the ground up, with my own 2 hands, my knowledge of plants, and my love for growing beautiful things. It was valued on paper at approximately $20 million. The stores, the house where I lived, investments, properties, a lifetime of hard work summarized in cold numbers. But the numbers don't tell the whole story. They don't tell about Marissa, my wife, the love of my life, the woman I was married to for 32 years, the mother of my only child, Darius. Marissa passed away 4 years ago from lung cancer. She never smoked a day in her life, but the cancer found her anyway. She fought for a year, and I was by her side every second, spending everything I had on treatments, on hope, on miracles that never arrived. Her last words were, "Take care of Darius, but don't spoil him. Teach him to be strong, to stand on his own." I failed to keep that promise. I did the exact opposite. After Marissa left, I sank into grief, and Darius, who was 26 at the time, stayed with me. "To look after you, Dad," he would say, "so you're not alone." But it wasn't care. It was convenience. In my sorrow and loneliness, I started giving him everything. Everything he asked for, everything he hinted that he needed. "Dad, my car broke down. Could you spot me for a new one?" I gave him $15,000. "Dad, I want to start a business, a car dealership. Could you invest?" I gave him $1 million. The business failed in 8 months. "Dad, Geneva and I want to get married, but we need a house. Could you help us?" I bought them a house for $500,000 in the exclusive Buckhead area. And it continued like that for 4 years. Every request fulfilled. Every loan never repaid. Every investment lost without explanation. But I never complained, because Darius was all I had left of Marissa, and I was terrified. Terrified that if I said no, if I set limits, he would leave, and I would be completely alone. 6 months ago, Darius came to me with a different proposal. "Dad, Geneva's pregnant. We're having a baby, and we need more space, more stability. Congratulations, son. That's wonderful. But the house you bought us isn't enough. And frankly, Dad, your house is too big, way too big for just one person. It's my house. It's where I lived with your mother. I know. But wouldn't it be better if we all lived together, or as a family? Geneva can look after you, and when the baby is born, you can see your grandson every day." Something about the proposal made me uneasy, but the idea of having family close again, of having a grandson, was tempting. "And you guys would sell your house?" "No, we'll rent it out as an investment, but we'll live here with you, in your big house. Plenty of space for everyone. Let me think about it." But Darius didn't wait for my answer. 2 weeks later, he arrived with Geneva and all their belongings. "Just temporarily," they said, "while we get organized." Temporary became permanent. They moved into the second floor, took the best rooms, and redecorated everything. Without asking, without consulting me. "Dad, the style of the house is so old-fashioned, so dated, Darius insisted. It needs modernizing. They were erasing Marissa. Every change eliminated a piece of her. The colors she chose, the furniture we bought together, the curtains she personally sewed. Could you at least leave her room as it was? I pleaded. The room where your mother and I slept? Dad, that's the master suite, the biggest one. We need it for us and the baby. Don't be selfish. Mom isn't here anymore. It's just a room, and we need it more than you do. They moved me to the small staff quarters, a little room at the back of the house where the housekeeper used to sleep, and I accepted because I was afraid of being left alone. Things worsened when the baby was born. Silas, my grandson, a beautiful boy who should have brought joy into my life. But Darius and Geneva used him as a tool. Dad, you can't see Silas unless you help us with the expenses. Dad, Silas needs expensive diapers, special formula, designer clothes. Can you pay? And I paid for everything because I wanted to be close to my grandson, because he was the only family I had left. But they never let me hold him. You're too old, Dad. You might drop him. Your hands shake. It's not safe. Just look at him from a distance. My own house became a prison. I couldn't make noise because the baby is sleeping. I couldn't cook because you're in the way in the kitchen. I couldn't watch television because we're using the living room. And my businesses, my beloved nurseries. Darius began to involve himself. Dad, let me help. I can modernize everything, make the stores more profitable. I gave him access to the corporate accounts. Just to help, I said, so you can learn the business. He started making decisions without consulting me. He fired loyal employees, switched suppliers for cheaper but lower quality ones, and raised prices. And the profits? The profits began to disappear. Where is the money going, Darius? To modernization, Dad. To investing in growth. Don't you understand how the modern business works? I've been in this business for 35 years. Yeah, and that's why it's stagnant. It needs new blood, fresh ideas, my vision. 3 months before Christmas, Darius came with papers. Lots of papers. Dad, I need you to sign this. It's to better organize the finances, to protect you. Protect me from what? From yourself. You're getting older. Sometimes you get confused, you forget things. We need to make sure that if anything happens to you, everything is in order. I'm not confused. My mind is perfectly fine. Dad, yesterday you forgot where you put your keys. Last week, you couldn't remember what day it was. They were lies, but he said them with such conviction that I began to doubt myself. Was I really forgetting things? Was my mind failing me? Just sign it. Dad, it's for your own good. I didn't sign that day. Something stopped me. A voice inside that sounded like Marissa. Don't do it, Elias. Don't trust him. Darius got angry. You don't trust your own son? Your only family? It's not that. I just want my lawyer to review the documents first. You don't need a lawyer. I'm your son. I'm protecting you. I still want someone else to look at it. He left furious. And from that day on, everything changed. He became cold, distant. Geneva stopped speaking to me completely, and they forbade me from seeing Silas. Until you sign, you don't have access to your grandson. It was emotional blackmail, pure and simple. But it worked because every day, without seeing Silas, broke me down a little more. Christmas arrived. I hoped things would get better. that the Christmas spirit would soften their hearts. I bought gifts for everyone, especially for Silas. Clothes. Everything a 6-month-old baby could need. The morning of December 24th, I went downstairs early. I wanted to make breakfast, as I used to when Marissa was alive. Pancakes, bacon, and cinnamon rolls, a family tradition. But when I entered the kitchen, Geneva was there. She looked at me with contempt. "What are you doing here?" "I'm going to make breakfast for everyone." "No, not today. We have plans, and they don't include you." "But it's Christmas Eve. We're family." "Darius, come here," she yelled. My son came downstairs scowling. "What's going on?" "Your father doesn't understand that he's not welcome today." "Dad, Geneva's parents are coming. Her brothers, her whole family, and frankly, we don't want you here. You'll ruin the celebration." The words hit me like punches. Ruin it? It's my house. It's our house now. And we want privacy, so you need to leave. Leave? Go where? I don't know. A hotel, a friend's house. I don't care. Just go, Darius, please. I'm your father. It's Christmas. And you're a burden. A bitter old man who won't let go of control, who won't let us live our lives. So, leave for today. And maybe, if you cooperate, if you finally sign those papers, you can come back. I'm not signing anything without my lawyer reviewing it. Then don't come back. Leave and don't return until you're ready to be reasonable. You can't kick me out of my own house. I can't? Darius pulled out his phone and showed me something on the screen. See? This is the deed to the house in my name, signed 2 months ago. That's impossible. I never transferred it. Remember those papers you signed 2 months ago? The ones I said were to organize the accounts? They were the transfer documents for the house, the businesses, everything. And you signed them. I was frozen. But my lawyer? What lawyer, Dad? The person you thought was your lawyer was someone I hired. It was all planned, and now, legally, everything is mine. The house, the nurseries, the accounts, everything. That's fraud. Prove it. You have your signature on the documents. Signed, voluntarily, notarized, all legal. You have nothing, Dad, and you are nothing. So get out before I call the police and have you forcibly removed. Geneva was smiling, enjoying my humiliation, my pain. You have 30 minutes to pack what you can carry. After that, I lock the door, and if you try to return, I'll report you for trespassing. I went up to my small room, the staff quarters where they had relegated me. With shaking hands, I packed the little I had, clothes, a few photos of Marissa, my wallet with barely $1,000. That was it. I had no access to my bank accounts. Darius had emptied them. I had no credit cards. He had canceled them. I had no home. He had stolen it. I had no business. That was his too. Now, at 60 years old, I was on the street with nothing and no one. I went downstairs with my small suitcase. Darius was waiting at the door with his arms crossed, without a flicker of remorse. Dad, when you're ready to sign the rest of the documents, the ones that declare you mentally incompetent, call me to. Then you can come back, not as the owner, but as our guest in your staff quarters, looked after by us. Because you're too old to take care of yourself. How can you do this to me? I'm your father, and I'm your future. Get used to it. The door slammed shut in my face. Christmas, a cold night, and I, a 60-year-old man who had built an empire, was standing on the street, homeless. I walked aimlessly, not knowing where to go. All my friends were business partners, and Darius had probably already told them some story. That I was senile, that I was dangerous, that they shouldn't help me. I arrived at a park, sat on a bench, and for the first time in 4 years, since Marissa passed, I cried. I cried for everything lost, for the family I thought I had, for the son I turned out not to have, for the life I had built that was snatched away in an instant. "Are you okay, sir?" a voice asked. I looked up. It was a young man, about 30, elegantly dressed, with genuine concern in his eyes. I'm fine," I lied. "No, you're not. You're crying alone on Christmas Eve. Do you have somewhere to stay?" "No." "Family?" "Not anymore." The man sat next to me. "My name is Raymond. I work for Mrs. Sterling. Vivian Sterling, and maybe you know her, and she owns Sterling Industries." I knew the name. Vivian Sterling was one of the wealthiest women in America, the widow of an industrial magnate. It was said she was worth billions. So what does that have to do with me? Mrs. Sterling is looking for a gardener, someone with real experience, someone who loves plants, who understands how to grow beautiful things. Her last gardener quit a week ago, and she's desperate to find someone before the new year. Why are you telling me this? Because there's something about you, a sadness, but also dignity. And Mrs. Sterling values dignity. Do you have experience with plants? I owned 5 nurseries for 35 years. Owned. They were stolen from me by my son today. That's why I'm here. Raymond nodded. No judgment, no pity, just understanding. Would you be interested in the job? It pays well, includes housing on the property. And Mrs. Sterling is fair, good to her staff. Why are you helping me? You don't know me. Because it's Christmas, and no one deserves to be alone on the street on Christmas. And because I believe in second chances. Do you want one? I looked up at the sky, searching for a sign, searching for Marissa, asking her what to do. And then I felt something, a warmth, a certainty, her voice in my mind. Take it. This is your chance to start over. Yes, I said. I accept. Raymond smiled. Good. Come on. I'll take you to the mansion. You can start tomorrow. Tonight, rest. Eat something hot. And sleep in a real bed. Tomorrow, your new life begins. I got into his car, a sleek Mercedes. And as we left the park, I looked back at the city, where I had built everything, where I had lost everything. But now, I looked forward, toward the unknown, toward a second chance I didn't know I needed. And even though my heart was broken, even though everything seemed lost, a small spark of hope began to ignite. Because sometimes, when you lose everything, when you hit rock bottom, that's when you can finally start building something new, something better, something true. And my new life was about to begin. The Sterling Mansion was not just a house. It was a world apart, surrounded by high walls, with gardens that stretched for acres, fountains, sculptures, and plants. So many plants that for the first time in hours, I felt something akin to peace. Raymond took me to a small cottage at the back of the property. This will be your dwelling. Simple, but comfortable. It has been everything you need. Inside there was a bedroom, a small kitchen, a bathroom, and basic but clean furniture. It was 1,000 times better than the staff quarters where Darius had relegated me. Rest tonight, Raymond said. Tomorrow at 8 in the morning. Come to the main house. Sterling will want to meet you, and then I'll show you the gardens, everything you need to know. Thank you for this, for giving me this opportunity. Don't thank me. Thank Mrs. Sterling, and prove it to her that it was worth trusting you. He left, and I was alone in my new house. Small, but mine, at least for now. I sat on the bed and for the first time truly processed what had happened. My son had betrayed me, stolen everything, kicked me out on Christmas, and I had accepted a job as a gardener, from owning 5 nurseries to being an employed gardener. The fall was humiliating, but it was also honest. It was real work with my hands, doing what I loved, working with plants. And maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what I needed. The next morning, I woke up early, showered, put on the most presentable clothes I had, and at 8 o'clock sharp, I knocked on the main house door. A maid opened it. "Mr. Thorne?" "Yes?" "Mrs. Sterling is waiting for you in the back garden. Follow me." We walked through the house. It was elegant, but not ostentatious, with art on the walls, but also family photos. It had life. It wasn't a museum. It was a home. We arrived at the back garden, and there I saw her for the first time. Vivian Sterling. She was 58, according to what I had read in articles, but she looked younger. Brown hair with streaks of gray she didn't try to hide, no excessive makeup, dressed simply in jeans and a white blouse, and she was kneeling in the dirt, planting something. She turned when she heard me arrive, and her eyes were green, intelligent, and sad, like mine. "Mr. Thorne," she said, standing up, "thank you for coming." "Thank you for the opportunity, Mrs. Sterling. Call me Vivian, and I'll call you Elias. Does that sound right?" "It sounds perfect. Raymond told me a little about your situation, and I want you to know that here, in this house, your past doesn't matter. Only your present and your future matter. Do you understand?" "Yes." "Good. Let me show you the gardens." We walked for an hour. The gardens were extensive, beautiful, but also neglected in places. The previous gardener clearly hadn't had real experience. "This place is my sanctuary," Vivian explained. "When my husband passed away 5 years ago, the gardens were the only thing that kept me sane. Working with the earth, growing life. It reminded me that life continues, even after loss. I understand perfectly. I felt the same way with my nurseries after my wife passed." We stopped, looked at each other, and in that moment, I recognized something in her, the same pain I carried, the same loss, the same loneliness. "Then you understand," she said softly, "why I need this place to be perfect. Because it's not just a garden. It's a place of healing. I will make it perfect. I promise you. There's something else you should know. I have a son, Marcus. He's 8 years old. He's deaf. He was born that way. And this garden is his favorite spot. He spends hours here alone because no one knows how to talk to him. No one speaks sign language. I'm learning, but I'm clumsy. And Marcus is patient with me, but I see his frustration. The house staff doesn't know. His teachers at the special school do, but here, he's alone in his own world." "I know sign language," I said. Vivian stopped. "Really?" "My wife had a deaf sister. We learned together so we could communicate with her years ago, but you don't forget." Vivian's eyes filled with tears. Could you talk to him? Try to communicate?" "Of course. It would be an honor. He usually comes to the garden after school around 3. If you could be here, I'll be here." Vivian took my hands. Hers were trembling. "You don't know what this means to me. To him. He's so lonely, so isolated. And I don't know how to reach him. I'm his mother, but sometimes I feel like we're strangers." "You're not strangers. It's just that he needs someone who speaks his language. Literally and figuratively. She nodded, and in that moment, something shifted. We weren't employer and employee. We were two broken people trying to heal, trying to connect. I spent the next few hours evaluating the gardens, making lists of what I needed: plants to replace, areas to redesign, irrigation systems to repair. It was hard work, but it was work I loved. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I felt useful, valued, with purpose. At 3 in the afternoon, I saw him. Marcus, a small boy with dark hair and curious eyes, walked into the garden with a backpack. He sat on a bench under a large tree and pulled out a book. I approached slowly. I didn't want to startle him. When I was a few feet away, he saw me. His eyes widened. He clearly didn't expect to see someone new. I raised my hands and spoke in signs. "Hello, my name is Elias. I am the new gardener." Marcus stood motionless, processing. Then slowly, he raised his hands. "You know how to talk like this?" "Yes, I learned many years ago. What's your name?" "Marcus." "It's a pleasure to meet you, Marcus. What are you reading?" He showed me the book. It was about dinosaurs. "I like dinosaurs," he signed. "Especially the ones that ate plants. Like me, I don't like meat." I smiled. "I don't like meat much, either. I prefer vegetables and fruits." "Really? Really? Do you know that in this garden we could plant fruits? Apples, strawberries, peaches?" Marcus's eyes sparkled. "We can?" "If your mom gives me permission, yes. We could make a special garden just for you, with all your favorite fruits." "Yes, please." And then for the first time, probably in a long time, Marcus smiled, a big, genuine smile that lit up his whole face. I heard a gasp behind me. I turned around. Vivian was there, hands over her mouth, tears rolling down her cheeks. She walked toward us quickly, knelt beside Marcus, and in signs asked, "Are you okay, my love?" "Mom, Elias talks like me, and he's going to make a garden for me with roots." Vivian looked at me and said those 5 words that chilled me to the bone. "Where have you been all my life?" I didn't know how to answer because I was wondering the same thing about her. The next few days were the best I had had in years. I worked in the gardens from early on, repairing, replanting, redesigning. And every afternoon, Marcus would arrive, and we would talk in signs about dinosaurs, about plants, about everything and nothing. I taught him about photosynthesis, about how plants convert light into energy, about how every plant is unique, special, like every person. "Am I special?" he asked me one day. "You are very special, Marcus, because you are unique. There is no other Marcus in the world. But I can't hear. The other kids at school can. And you can do things they can't." "Like what?" "You can talk with your hands. That's incredible. It's like having a superpower. You can communicate without making noise, in places where others can't talk. That makes you special, different, but different in a wonderful way." Marcus smiled, and for the first time, I saw pride in his eyes, pride in who he was. Vivian watched our interactions from a distance. Sometimes she would come closer, trying to follow the conversation, and slowly her sign language got better, because Marcus and I patiently taught her with love. One afternoon, after Marcus left to do his homework, Vivian invited me to have coffee on the terrace. "Elias, I want to thank you for what you've done for my son. In just 2 weeks, I've seen more change in him than in years. He's happier, more open, more kinetic. He's a wonderful boy, intelligent, curious, and he just needed someone who spoke his language.
But it's more than that. You've given him something I couldn't, self-confidence, a sense of worth. You give him love. Love is the most important thing. But love without communication is insufficient. And I didn't know how to reach him until you arrived. We sat in silence, drinking coffee, looking at the gardens that were beginning to transform. "Can I ask you something personal?" Vivian asked. "Of course. Your son, the one who kicked you out, why did he do it? Was it really just about money?" "I think so, but I also think I spoiled him. After my wife passed, I gave him everything, with no limits, no consequences, and I turned him into someone who thinks he's entitled to everything, including stealing from me. And you haven't tried to recover what is legally yours?" "I've thought about it, but I don't have the money for lawyers. I don't have proof. And frankly, I'm tired of fighting. Sometimes losing everything teaches you that you didn't need it in the first place." That's very philosophical. It's survival. If I get trapped in the past, in the anger, in the injustice, I can't live the present. And this present here, working with plants, getting to know Marcus, talking to you, is better than my past was for a long time. Vivian looked at me with something in her eyes, something I couldn't identify. Respect, perhaps, or understanding, or something more. "You know," she said, "when my husband passed away, everyone expected me to fall apart, to sell everything, to retire, to mourn. But I didn't. I took control of his companies. I grew them. I proved that a woman can do what a man does, maybe better. I don't doubt it. But in the process, I forgot something: how to be a mother. I was so busy proving to the world that I could do it, that I neglected my son, the miracle that came late in my life, the child I waited 30 years for. And when I finally had him, I was so focused on work that I lost him, even living in the same house. You haven't lost him. He loves you. I see it in how he looks at you. You just need to learn to communicate with him. And you're getting better every day. Thanks to you. No, thanks to your willingness to try. Many mothers in your position would just hire nannies, teachers. But you are here, learning, trying. That counts for more than any words in signs." Vivian wiped away tears. How is it that a gardener has so much wisdom? Because working with plants teaches you that everything needs time, patience, constant care, and that the most beautiful things grow from the smallest seeds if you give them a chance. We looked at each other, and something happened. A connection beyond employer, and employee beyond professional. We were two broken souls meeting at the right time, in the right place, and starting to heal together. The weeks passed, and the dynamic changed. Vivian started spending more time in the garden. To learn, she said. But we both knew it was for more than that. We worked side by side, planting, pruning, designing, and we talked about everything. Our marriages, our losses, our hopes. "Did you ever think about remarrying?" she asked me one day. "No, I thought Marissa was unique, irreplaceable, that I would never feel that way again. And now?" I looked at her. "Now I'm not so sure." She blushed, and for the first time, I saw her not as the billionaire, but as Vivian, a vulnerable, beautiful woman, and alone like me. "I haven't thought about remarrying either," she said softly. "My husband was good to me. He gave me everything, including Marcus, but he never gave me what you're giving me now." "What am I giving you?" "Real conversation, companionship, someone who sees me as a person, not as the heiress to a fortune, not as the CEO of a company, just as Vivian. Because that's what you are, Vivian. An incredible woman, strong, but also kind and real. She moved closer to me. Elias, this is going to sound crazy, but I feel like I've known you forever. Like we've been waiting for each other. And now we've finally met. It doesn't sound crazy. I feel the same way. And then, right there in the garden, surrounded by flowers I had planted, we kissed. Softly, tenderly, with all the pain and hope we both carried. When we pulled apart, we both had tears in our eyes. This is crazy, she said. It's barely been a month since we met. Sometimes a month with the right person is worth more than years with the wrong one. And what do we do now? We let it grow, like a plant, with time, patience, care. She smiled. I like that. I like that very much. But our happiness was about to be tested because my past was about to find me, and my son had plans that didn't include my redemption. 3 months after I started working at the Sterling Mansion, my life had changed completely. The gardens were flourishing. Marcus was a different child, happier, more connected to his mother and Vivian. Vivian had become something I never thought I'd have again. Hope. Our relationship grew naturally, like the plants we cared for together, without pressure, without haste, just two people enjoying each other's company, learning to trust again, to love again. Marcus knew, of course. Children always know. One day, as we planted strawberries in his special garden, he signed to me, "Do you like my mom?" "Yes, very much." "Does she bother you?" "No. She's happier now. She smiles more, like the flowers when you give them water." The simplicity of his observation touched me deeply. "Your mom is special, just like you. Are you going to stay with us forever?" "If you both want me here, yes." "We both do." That night, Vivian invited me to dinner in the main house, not in the staff kitchen, but in the formal dining room, just the three of us. Marcus was excited. During dinner, he told us about his day at school, in signs, and we both responded. A real conversation, like a family. After Marcus went to sleep, Vivian and I sat on the terrace under the stars, with the scent of jasmine I had planted floating in the air. "Elias, I need to tell you something," she began, "and I need you to be completely honest with me. I'm always honest. What we have, this thing that's growing between us, is real to you, right? It's not about my money. It's not about stability. It's because you really feel something. Vivian, when my son kicked me out, I lost $20 million, a fortune. And as strange as it sounds, it was liberating because I realized that money hadn't made me happy. It hadn't protected me. It hadn't given me true love. You have given me more happiness in 3 months than all that money in decades. So yes, it's real. Very real. Because I feel the same way, and I want something more. I want this to be official. I want Marcus to have a father figure, someone who can talk to him, who understands him. And I want a partner, someone who really sees me. What are you saying? I'm saying I want you to move into the main house with me, with Marcus, as a family. And if you agree, eventually, I'd like to marry you. My heart was beating so fast, I thought it would explode. Are you sure? It's barely been 3 months. Elias, I'm 58 years old. I've been alone for 5, and in 3 months with you, I've felt more life, more joy, more connection than in decades. I don't want to waste any more time. Life is short, and when you find something real, you hold on to it. Then yes, yes to everything. To moving in, to becoming family, to getting married, to building a life together. We kissed under the stars, and for the first time in years, I felt I was exactly where I was supposed to be. But happiness is never permanent. There is always something waiting to interrupt it. And my interruption had a name, Darius. A week later, I was working in the front garden when I heard a car. A new, expensive BMW pulled up in front of the mansion, and out stepped my son. I froze. How had he found me? What did he want? "Dad," he said, walking toward me with a false smile. "I finally found you." "What are you doing here, Darius?" "I came to talk, to see how you are. To apologize." "Apologize? After stealing everything from me? Kicking me out on Christmas?" I know. I went too far. I was stressed with the baby, with the finances, and I made bad decisions. But I've been thinking, and I want to fix it. There's nothing to fix. You kept everything. I moved on. But Dad, you're my father. You're family. And family forgives, right? Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't betray. Darius looked around, saw the mansion, the perfect gardens, and his expression changed. Calculation was in his eyes. "You work here?" "Yes, as a gardener." "Wow, Dad, that's so sad. You, who owned 5 nurseries, now working for someone else, doing manual labor. It's honest work, something you wouldn't understand. And who's your boss? Is she rich? This mansion must be worth millions." "That's none of your business. Dad, I'm just worried about you. Working at your age with your health. It's not safe." "My health is perfect." "But it won't always be. And when it gets worse, then what? Who's going to take care of you? Your millionaire boss?" "I don't think so. But I will, because I'm your son." "You are no longer my son. You lost that right when you betrayed me." "Dad, don't say that. Of course, I'm your son, and I want you to come home with us, with your grandson." "Silas misses you." "Liar. Silas doesn't even know me. You never let me hold him because you were careless. But he's older now, stronger, and he can spend time with his grandfather. Just come back, please." Something in his tone was fake. Too soft. Too manipulative. "Why are you really here, Darius?" "I already told you." "No. Tell me the truth." "What do you want?" His mask cracked for a second. "Fine. The truth. The businesses aren't doing well. The nurseries are losing money. Turns out, it's not as easy to manage them as I thought. And the debts. I have a lot of debts, and I need your help." "My help? How can I help you? You took everything from me. But you have the knowledge, the experience. You could come back as a consultant. No salary, obviously, because there's no money. But you could save the businesses. And when they're profitable again, I'd give you a percentage. You want me to work for free? To save the businesses you stole from me? Technically, I didn't steal them. You signed them. By deception. By fraud. Prove it. But Dad, I didn't come here to fight. I came to offer you an opportunity. To be part of the business again. To have purpose. I have purpose here, as a gardener. Dad, you're better than that." "No. This is exactly what I should have been. All along. Someone who works honestly. Who builds beautiful things. Who makes a real difference. Not just accumulates money." Darius became frustrated. "Fine. If you won't help me, at least give me the name of your boss. Maybe she needs other services. Maybe I can do business with her. Stay away from Vivian." "Vivian? Vivian Sterling, the billionaire?"
Darius's eyes lit up. Oh, Dad, don't tell me you're with her. That's not your problem. It's totally my problem. If you're with a billionaire, if you have access to her money, then you can help me. You can ask her for a loan. For your son, for your grandson, for your family. I would never involve Vivian in your greed. Greed? Dad, I'm your blood, your family. She's a stranger. And if you really cared about your family, you'd do whatever it takes to help us. You are no longer my family, and it's time for you to go. I'm not leaving until you talk to her, until you introduce me, until you at least try to help your own son. Elias, is everything all right? I turned around. Vivian was in the doorway, with Marcus beside her. Both were looking at the scene. Darius immediately changed his attitude. Charming smile, relaxed posture. You must be Mrs. Sterling. I'm Darius, Elias's son. It's a pleasure to meet you. Vivian looked at him coldly. Elias has told me about you, and it's not a pleasure. I'm sure my father exaggerated. Exaggerated that you kicked him out on Christmas? That you stole his business through fraud? That you left him with nothing? No, I don't think he exaggerated, Mrs. Sterling. There are two sides to every story, and I only need to hear one. That of an honest man who works hard every day, who treats my son with love and respect, who has given me more happiness in 3 months than many in my entire life. So no, I don't want to hear your version. I want you to leave my property now. Go, now, or I call security. And believe me, my security is not kind to intruders. Darius looked at me with pure hatred. This isn't over, Dad. You're going to help me one way or another. Yes, it is over. Goodbye, Darius. He left, cursing, threatening, but he left. Vivian came up to me, took my hand. Are you okay? I'm fine. Thank you for defending me. I will always defend you. You are important to me, to us. Marcus signed. That man is bad. That man is someone who lost his way, I explained. And now he's trying to drag us all down with him, but we're not going to let that happen. But I knew Darius wouldn't give up so easily, and I was right. 2 weeks later, the problems began. Small at first. Articles in gossip blogs. Billionaire Vivian Sterling, allegedly involved with her gardener. True love or gold digger. Then came the telephoto photos of Vivian and me in the garden, kissing, hugging, published on sensationalist sites. And finally, a lawsuit. Darius sued me for abandonment of familial obligations, claiming that I owed him money for years of care when Marissa was sick, that he had sacrificed his life to care for us, and that he deserved compensation. All lies. But it was a public lawsuit, and the media covered it. Millionaire gardener abandons family for billionaire. Vivian was furious. I'm going to destroy him legally. I'm going to hire the best lawyers. No, don't give him what he wants. Attention, money, a fight. That's what he's looking for. But he's ruining your reputation, mine, making us look like two people who love each other. That's what we are. The rest doesn't matter. And if this affects Marcus, if other children tease him because of this, then we teach him to be strong, not to let the words of others define who he is, just like we've been teaching him these past months. Vivian took a deep breath. You're right, but I still want to do something. I want to show your son, the world, that this is real, that you're not a gold digger, that you are the man I love. And how do you propose to do that? By getting married now, this week, and signing a prenuptial agreement that clearly states you don't want my money, that if we divorce, you get nothing. 0. That will shut everyone up. Vivian, I don't need to prove anything, But I do need the world to know that I chose you, not out of obligation, not through manipulation, but because you are the man I want by my side forever. Then let's do it. Let's get married, prenup, documented everything, and live our lives regardless of what others say. And Marcus? Marcus needs to see that real love exists, that families can be formed in different ways, and that the people you love are worth fighting for. A week later, we got married in a small ceremony in the garden we had built together, with Marcus as our main witness. He carried the rings with the biggest smile I had ever seen. When we exchanged vows, I did them aloud and in signs so Marcus could understand every word. Vivian, I promise to love you, respect you, and honor you every day of my life. I promise to be the father Marcus needs and the partner you deserve. Not for your money, not for your status, but because my life is better with you in it. Because I found in you something I thought I had lost forever. Home! Vivian was crying. Elias, I promise to love you, respect you, and honor you every day of my life. I promise to learn from you, from your wisdom, from your patience, from your love for things that grow. And I promise that together we are going to grow something beautiful. Not just plants, but a real family, honest, full of love. We kissed. And Marcus clapped in sign language, fluttering his hands in the air, the gesture of applause for deaf people. And it was the most beautiful moment of my life. The media covered the wedding, but this time the tone changed because the prenuptial agreement was public and clearly showed that I had waived any rights to Vivian's fortune. Gardener marries billionaire, but waives fortune. True love, after all. Darius tried to interfere even with that. He arrived at the wedding uninvited, trying to cause a scene. But Vivian's security was efficient. They removed him before he could enter. But as they led him out, he yelled, "Dad, you're going to regret this. I'll take everything from you again." "I have nothing left to take," I calmly replied. "I only have love, and that's something you will never understand or steal." After the wedding, Vivian gave me a gift, an envelope. "What is this?" "Open it." Inside were many legal documents. And as I read, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. "You bought my nurseries, all 5 of them?" "Yes. When Darius couldn't keep them profitable, he put them up for sale. I bought them through a subsidiary company so he wouldn't know it was me." "Vivian, but they're not yours." "Elias, they're ours. Yours and mine. And if you want, we can rebuild them together. Make them what they were. Or we can sell them. Or do something completely different. You decide. Because they are yours again." Tears rolled down my cheeks. I don't know what to say. "Don't say anything. Just let's build something together. Something new. Something beautiful. Like this garden, but bigger. For more people. So that other people find what we found. Peace, beauty, purpose." And Darius? Darius lost everything. The nurseries, the house you bought him, everything. Because he was over indebted. Because he spent without thinking. And now he's exactly where he left you. With nothing on the street. And how do you feel about that? Honestly, satisfied. It's not vengeance. It's natural justice. The consequences of his actions. And maybe, just maybe, this experience will teach him what he needs to learn, just as your experience taught you. And that night, while Marcus slept, Vivian and I sat in our garden under the same stars where we had first kissed. "Do you know what the most ironic thing is?" I said. "If Darius hadn't kicked me out, If he hadn't taken everything, I never would have found this. I never would have found you. I never would have met Marcus. I never would have discovered that real happiness doesn't come from money. It comes from real connections, from purpose, from love. So do you thank him? No, but I accept that what he did, though cruel, led me exactly to where I needed to be. With you, with Marcus, with this life. And what do we do about him now? Do we give him another chance, as Marissa, your late wife, suggested you do? I thought about it carefully. Not yet. First, he needs to hit rock bottom for real. He needs to understand what he lost. Not just the money, but his father, his family, his integrity. And when he understands that, if he ever does, then maybe. But on our terms, with conditions, with limits. You are a very wise man, Elias Thorne. No, I'm just a man who learned the hardest lessons in the worst possible way and was lucky enough to find something better on the other side. And there, in the garden, we had created together, under the stars, with the scent of flowers floating in the air, I understood something fundamental. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find what truly matters. And when you find it, you hold on to it with everything you have, because that's what's worthwhile. Not money, not status, but love, family, real connection. And I had finally found it. A year after marrying Vivian, my life was unrecognizable compared to that Christmas Eve when Darius kicked me out. We had converted the 5 nurseries into more than just businesses. They were community centers, places where we taught low-income people about gardening, about how to grow their own food, about how the earth can heal. Marcus was now 9 years old and a completely different child than the one I met, self-assured, happy. There were other children in his school who were also learning sign language now, thanks to a program Vivian had funded. He was no longer alone. He had friends, a social life, and every afternoon, he still came to the garden. But now, he brought friends, and together they planted, they learned, they grew. Papa Elias, he called me now. And every time he did, my heart was filled with something I hadn't felt in years, real paternal pride. Not for the money someone could give me, but for the privilege of watching a child flourish, of being part of his growth. Vivian and I worked together every day. She still managed her corporate empire, but now she did so with more balance, more time for Marcus, for me, for us as a family. And together, we had created a foundation, the Marissa and Robert Sterling Foundation, named after my deceased wife and Vivian's late husband, to honor what they gave us and to build something that would help others. The foundation focused on 3 things: education for children with disabilities, community gardening programs, and aid for older people who had been abandoned by their families. Because I knew exactly how that felt, and I didn't want anyone else to experience it. As for Darius, I hadn't heard from him in months, until one afternoon Raymond, who was still working for Vivian and had become a good friend, came looking for me. Elias, there's someone at the gate. He says he's your son. He's in bad shape. My first instinct was to say no, to kick him out. That after everything he did to me, he didn't deserve a minute of my time. But then I thought of Marcus, of how we had taught him about compassion, about second chances, about being better than those who hurt you. Let him pass, I said, but have him come to the garden, not the house. 10 minutes later, I saw my son, and it was a shock. He had lost a lot of weight. His clothes were wrinkled and dirty, his beard unkempt, deep dark circles under his eyes. He looked broken. "Hello, Dad," he said in a weak voice. Darius, I know I have no right to be here after everything I did, but I have nowhere else to go. Where is Geneva? Silas? They left 4 months ago, when we lost everything. Geneva said she didn't marry a loser, that she deserved better. She took Silas to her parents' house and forbade me from seeing them until I got my act together. But I don't know how to get my act together. I don't know how to be someone. Sit down, I said, pointing to a bench. He sat down carefully, as if his whole body hurt. When was the last time you ate? I don't know. Yesterday, maybe? Wait here. I went to the house, prepared a sandwich with juice and fruit. I returned and gave it to him. Darius took it with trembling hands. Thank you. He ate in silence. I watched him, wondering how we had gotten here. How the baby I held, the child I raised, the young man I educated, had become this. Dad, I didn't come here to ask you for money. I know I don't have any right to it. I came to ask you for something different. What? Forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. I know what I did to you was unforgivable. I stole from you. I kicked you out. I treated you like trash. And now I understand. Now I understand exactly how it felt, because it happened to me. Geneva did to me what I did to you. And when I was on the street, alone, with nothing, I realized how monstrous I was. And what do you expect me to do with that? Nothing. I expect nothing. I just needed you to know that I finally understand, that I'm ashamed, disgusted with myself, and that if I could change everything, I would, but I can't. So I just came to say, I'm sorry, and then I'll leave, and you won't hear from me again. We stayed silent. Me processing, him waiting. Where have you been sleeping? In shelters, sometimes on the street, wherever I can. And what do you plan to do? I don't know. Get a job, any job, save money, and someday, show Geneva that I can be better so she'll let me see my son. And if she never forgives you, then I will live with that consequence, just as you live with what I did to you, except I don't live with it because I moved on. I built something new, something better, and I found happiness in spite of your betrayal, not because of it. I know. I saw the news, your wedding, your new family, and I'm happy for you, Dad. Really, you deserve to be happy after everything you've suffered, especially because of me. Vivian appeared in the garden with Marcus. Both had been watching from the terrace. This is Darius? Vivian asked. Yes. She approached. She looked at my son with a mixture of pity and disapproval. You look terrible. I know, ma'am, and I understand if you want me to leave. I don't want you to leave yet. I want you to hear something. Something your father doesn't know, I'm going to say, but which I think needs to be said. She looked at me. Elias, over this past year, I've watched you grow, flourish, become the man you were meant to be, without the burdens of the past, without the chains of a Titic family. And it has been incredible for me, for Marcus, for everyone you touch. But I've also seen you look at photos of Darius when he was a child. I've heard you talk about the good times before money and greed corrupted him. And I know that a part of you, however small, misses your son, not the one who betrayed you, but the boy he was. Vivian, let me finish. I'm not saying give him money. I'm not saying forgive him immediately. But I believe in second chances. You gave one to me, an older man with nothing. And look at what we built. Maybe, just maybe, Darius deserves the opportunity to prove that he can change. Tears were rolling down Darius's cheeks. I don't deserve your kindness, Mrs. Sterling. You're right. You don't deserve it. But it's not about what you deserve. It's about who we choose to be. And we choose to be people who give opportunities. With conditions, with limits, but opportunities nonetheless. She looked at Marcus, and in signs, asked, "What do you think? Should we help Darius?" Marcus, with the wisdom of a child who had suffered exclusion, signed, "Yes, because everyone deserves someone who believes in them, like Elias believed in me." Vivian looked at me. "The decision is yours, my love, completely yours. But you have our support, whatever it may be." I took a deep breath, thinking of everything. The betrayal, the pain, but also the redemption, the second chances, the man I had become thanks to losing everything. "Darius," I said finally, "I'm going to offer you something. Not for you, but for me. So I can live without regrets, without asking what would have happened if." "What is it, Dad?" "Anything, Dad. Anything. A job at one of the nurseries, the smallest one, as an employee. Minimum wage. Tending to plants. Cleaning. Doing the hard work. And housing in a small basic employee quarter for 6 months. Dad, I'm not finished. The conditions are these: 0 access to corporate money. 0 authority over other employees. 0 contact with me unless I initiate it. You work, you learn, and you prove that you can be responsible. And if, in 6 months, you show a real change, we'll evaluate the next step. But if at any time you lie, steal, or manipulate, it's over. No second chances, no explanations. You're done. Do you understand?" "I understand, and I accept everything. Thank you, Dad. I won't disappoint you. You already disappointed me once. Now you have the opportunity to prove that doesn't define who you are, that you can be better." Raymond took Darius away that afternoon to the furthest nursery. He gave him clean clothes, a room, clear rules, and a strict supervisor who would watch him constantly. Vivian hugged me that night. "I'm proud of you. I know that wasn't easy." It wasn't, but it was necessary for my peace of mind. And why? Because despite everything, he's still my son. And I want to believe that people can change. You changed my life. I changed yours. Maybe Darius can change too. And if he doesn't change, then I'll live, knowing I did everything possible, that I gave him the opportunity, and that the decision was his. I can close that chapter without guilt. The next 6 months were revealing. Darius worked hard. He arrived early, left late, and did everything asked of him without complaint. The supervisor reported that he was quiet, humble, and willing to learn. I visited occasionally, unannounced, to see what he was like when he didn't know I was watching. And what I saw surprised me. He was helping other employees, teaching them things I had taught him when he was a child. About plants, about care, about patience. In the 5th month, Geneva showed up at the nursery looking for Darius. "Where is he?" she demanded. "I need to talk to him." "What for?" I asked, as I was visiting that day. "To tell him he's wasting his life, that working for minimum wage is pathetic, that if he really loved me, he would find a way to get real money to give us the life we deserve. You or you? What? I ask if Darius is working to give you both what you need or to give you what you want, because it's not the same. Silas is my son, and he deserves the best. Silas deserves a present, honest father who works hard. That's the best. Not easy money. You don't understand. I understand perfectly, because I was like Darius, giving my son everything without teaching him to work for anything. And look how that turned out. Do you want Silas to be like Darius was, or do you want him to be better? Geneva was silent, processing. Darius is changing, I continued. He's learning the value of honest work, of earning things. And if you truly love him, you would support him. Don't pressure him to go back to the old habits that destroyed him. And what am I supposed to do? Live with my parents forever? You're supposed to decide if you love your husband for who he is or for what he can give you, and then you live with that decision. She left without speaking to Darius, and he never knew she was there because I didn't tell him. I didn't want to distract him from his progress. At the end of the 6 months, we had a meeting. Vivian, Raymond, the supervisor, and Darius. Darius, man, I began. 6 months have passed. The supervisor has a positive report. He says you've worked hard, no complaints, no problems. How do you feel? Exhausted, he admitted. But good. Better than I have felt in years, because every night I fall asleep knowing I earned my day, that no one gave me anything, that what I have is mine, through my effort. And have you learned anything? I've learned everything. That honest work is more satisfying than easy money, that plants, like people, need time and care to grow, that you can't force anything. You can only provide the right conditions and wait. And I've learned that I was an idiot, a terrible son, and that I wasted years being someone I don't want to be. And what do you want now? I want to keep working here at the nurseries, not as an owner, not as a manager, just as an employee, learning more, growing more, and someday maybe being good enough so that my son is proud of me. And Geneva? Geneva made her decision. She filed for divorce. And she's right. I'm not the man she needs. She needs someone who will give her luxuries, status. I can only offer honesty, hard work, and love for my son. If that's not enough for her, then we weren't meant to be together. And Silas? I have supervised visits once a week for 2 hours. And in those 2 hours, I teach him what you taught me, about plants, about working with your hands, about being honest. And I hope that's enough, that when he grows up, he remembers that his father, though imperfect, tried to be better. Vivian spoke. Darius, we are impressed with your progress, and we want to offer you something. Not charity, an opportunity. She placed papers on the table. This is a contract for a special program. You will work directly with Elias, learning everything about the business from the bottom up. And in 3 years, if you continue to demonstrate responsibility, we will give you management of one of the nurseries, a small one with supervision, but yours to run. And if you succeed, eventually you could have ownership, not a majority, but ownership earned through your work, through your dedication, by proving you are trustworthy. But I added, this is not automatic forgiveness. It is not forgetting what happened. It is an opportunity to build something new, a different relationship based on mutual respect, on work, on honesty. Darius was crying. I don't know what to say. Say yes or say no, and live with your decision. Yes, I accept everything. And I'm going to prove to you, Dad, that it was worth it. That I can be the son I should have been, all along. I don't want you to be the son you should have been. I want you to be the man you choose to be. That is the difference. The next 2 years were years of growth for Darius, for our relationship. We didn't go back to being father and son in the traditional sense. That bridge was burned. But we built something new. Colleagues, acquaintances who respected each other. And slowly, very slowly, something akin to friendship, Darius prospered. The nursery he managed became the most profitable. Not because he cut corners, but because he applied everything he learned about care, about quality, about treating employees with respect. And Silas? Silas visited the nursery on weekends, learning from his father and his grandfather, planting, growing, becoming a child who valued work, effort, honesty. Vivian and I celebrated our second anniversary with a family dinner. Darius was there with Silas and Marcus, the three children playing together, two cousins getting to know each other, building their own relationship. Did you ever imagine this? Vivian asked me. When I was sitting in that park on Christmas, I thought my life was over, that there was nothing left for me. And now I know that endings are just beginnings in disguise, that losing everything teaches you what really matters, and that family is not blood. It's choice, it's work, it's intentional love. Did you forgive Darius? Not completely. I don't know if I ever will. But I accepted what happened and chose to build something new instead of getting trapped in the past. That's enough. Vivian kissed me. I love you for your wisdom, for your compassion, for being the man you are. And I love you for giving me the opportunity to be that man, for seeing potential where others saw trash, for choosing me when I had nothing to offer except dirt under my nails and love in my heart. Marcus came running, signing excitedly. Papa Elias, the strawberries are ready. We can eat them. Then let's go, I said, taking his hand. Vivian took the other, and together the three of us walked to our garden. The garden where it all began, where a broken man found purpose, where a lonely mother found connection, where a deaf child found his voice. And as we ate strawberries, we had grown together, surrounded by flowers we had planted. With dirt under our nails and smiles on our faces, I understood something fundamental. Real wealth is not in banks. It's in moments like this, in chosen family, in honest work, in second chances taken, in forgiveness earned, in love built day by day, like a garden with patience, care, and dedication. If you are listening to this story, if it resonates with you in any way, I want you to understand something. It is never too late to start over. It is never too late to build something beautiful. From the ashes of your former life, my son kicked me out of my house on Christmas, stole everything from me, left me with nothing. But that loss led me to a mansion where I found something that money could never buy. True love, real purpose, a family built by choice, not by obligation. And my son also had to lose everything to learn what I learned. That a person's worth is not in what they have, but in who they are, in their work, in their honesty, in their ability to change. From Atlanta, Georgia, at 62 years old, and a life richer than ever, I wish you courage. The courage to start over when everything falls apart. The courage to give second chances when they are earned. And the courage to build something real, something beautiful, something that lasts. I was left homeless on Christmas and found more than a home. I found a sanctuary, a family, a purpose. And if I could do it, you can, too. You just need the will to get up, to plant new seeds, and to wait patiently as they grow into something beautiful. Because life, like a garden, is always ready to bloom if you provide the right conditions. And sometimes those conditions come from the most unexpected places, from the most painful losses, from the darkest Christmases. But always, always there is hope. There is possibility for growth. There's a new season waiting. You just have to have faith and work and love. The rest simply flourishes. Did you like my story? If you listened till the end, drop a number 1 in the comments. If you enjoyed it, you can support me by liking the video and sending a small tip. I've got lots of other life stories like this on my channel, so make sure to subscribe and check them out. I've added 2 new stories on screen that everyone loves. Thanks for being here. See you in the next one. With love.